Welcome back, parents. Today, we're diving into a crucial aspect of raising responsible and empathetic kids, teaching them personal accountability, admitting their wrongs, and asking for forgiveness. We'll also explore the powerful concept of implementing a new rule that rewards honesty. So, let's first talk about the power of personal accountability. As parents, we want our children to grow up as responsible and honest individuals. And personal accountability is a cornerstone of character development. And really, it starts with us. Remember, children learn by observing our actions. So, modeling accountability ourselves is the first step. Now, listen, if you're biting your lip right now and thinking, but I'm not so good at that myself. And if I have a difficult time doing what I say I'm going to do, like waking up when my alarm goes off or cleaning up after myself in the kitchen, making a weekly meal plan, or whatever it is, you might be thinking, how can I ask that of my children if I fail at that on a regular basis? Parents, we are human and we all make mistakes, even as parents. So instead of getting kind of caught up in the shame of not doing what we say we're going to do, and then just not asking our kids to do what they need to do because we feel like a fraud, let's just make a little small commitment to ourselves to do better on those things we want to be responsible for on a regular basis. And then get the whole family on board to really pump up those muscles of responsibility. So here are three practical tips that are specific to what you, the parent, can do. First of all, show your child how you admit your mistakes and take responsibility for them. Call yourself out in front of your kids. If you set an alarm to go off at 5:30 a.m. and you snooze it until 6, talk about that with them. Admit that you fell short on something you said you were going to do, and then commit to do better tomorrow. This has so many positive benefits for you and your kids. And second, share your own experiences of learning from mistakes and emphasize nobody is perfect. Be sure to share with your kids when you screwed up and how you believe that that mistake helped you in some way. I remember getting home from the grocery store and sharing with my kids that I forgot my stinking shopping bags. And so I went to the grocery store, and then I had a ton of groceries, and so I had to pay for every plastic bag at the store because I forgot my own bags at home. And so I shared how I quickly realized that this adds up. This costs us money. And so now I remember to take my bags because I experienced that natural logical consequence of not packing my bags when I went to the store. And so sharing our own experiences of learning from mistakes helps kids see that making mistakes is normal and there are lessons to be learned that benefit us. And third, encourage open conversations about challenges, failures, and what was learned from them. When you're sitting down for dinner, don't be afraid to ask your kids, what was the most challenging thing you experienced today? And then just wait for them to talk. Approach challenges and failures with positivity and help them get curious about what good came from the challenge or failure that they experienced. This helps build a culture of trust between you and will help them feel safe coming to you in the future when the challenges are even bigger. And parents, as your kids get older and they grow taller, their challenges become bigger too. So you need that foundation of trust. Now, let's talk about the art of admitting wrongs and seeking forgiveness. Oh, this is an art. Admitting mistakes and seeking forgiveness is an essential life skill. It builds integrity, self-awareness, and strong relationships. So, how can we teach this to our children? First, Create a safe space where your child feels comfortable discussing their mistake without fear or harsh consequences. If a child gets a significant punishment anytime they make a mistake, they get tempted to lie and cover up what they did simply to avoid the punishment. Kids are smart. They figure out the workaround to avoid that punishment that's coming. And then they learn to lie. A safe space for your child to discuss their mistakes is crucial. Second, avoid judgmental reactions when they admit their wrongs. Give your kids the same grace you'd like someone to give you when you mess up. That good old golden rule. Avoid judgments like, you know what, that was really dumb, or when will you ever learn? Those are judgments. Instead, focus on the good. And the good is that your child is admitting their mistakes and taking ownership. Guys, that is progress. Let's celebrate that. We want them coming forward on their own to admit their wrongs. Third, teach them to use the good old I statement when they are apologizing, such as, I'm sorry I hit Annie. I understand it hurt her, and I will try my best not to do it again. Kids need modeling, especially when their emotions are running high and they realize they've messed up. Sometimes you'll hear them say, like, I hit Annie, but that's because she was being really, really mean. Teach them to take personal responsibility for their part in the interaction by using I statements. You know, a little tip I heard from a first grade teacher, she said, here's what I say in those situations when someone's kind of blaming their behavior on someone else. Is she says, you know what, let's try that again and leave Johnny out of the story this time. Can you tell me what you are responsible for in this situation? Guys, I statements will turn the focus on your child and give them power to see how they're able to change themselves instead of the powerlessness that comes from thinking about someone else whom we cannot change. I statements in apologizing is so important. All right, now let's talk about this revolutionary concept of implementing a new rule in your household. Woohoo for new rules. Imagine a rule where if your child admits their mistakes before you find out, they won't face any consequences. This rule can transform the way your child approaches honesty. Let's call it the honesty incentive rule. And we've implemented it in our house as well and seen the benefits time and time again with our kids. So, what happens when you take away consequences? If your child admits they did something wrong and takes personal responsibility for their actions. Let's say you implement this new honesty incentive rule. Let's find out what happens when you withhold consequences and simply have a conversation instead. Number one, it builds trust. When kids know they won't face immediate punishment for being honest, they're more likely to come to you with their mistakes. Number two, it deters them from lying. Instead of covering up their actions out of fear, they will learn that admitting a mistake is the better option. And third, it develops their character. This rule nurtures integrity and courage to confront one's actions. So here's how to implement the honesty incentive rule. First, clearly communicate the new rule to your child. Make sure they understand its purpose and benefits. Hey, buddy, if you do something wrong and you come to us and tell us before we find out, and you're honest with us about what you did, no consequences, no fines to pay, no consequences to experience whatsoever. We think it's really important for you to let us know when you've done something wrong. Guys, you're going to see their eyes get as big as saucers. They're probably not going to believe you that this is true. And that's okay. Just tell them, we're going to try this. We think this is a really good new rule that we want to implement. Second, you're going to stick to that rule consistently. This builds trust and reinforces the positive behavior you're aiming for if you stay consistent. When we flip flop back and forth and give a consequence one time and then let them off the hook the next time and then give a consequence, that's confusion. So make sure when you implement this rule, you're ready for it, your spouse is on board, your child understands what's going to happen, and then you follow through and are consistent. And then third, use natural logical consequences as an opportunity for learning and growth rather than for punishment. So instead of a consequence that you dish out, like grounding them or taking away a device or something, have a conversation about what your child thinks will happen as a natural consequence because of their choice. It's awesome to see what kids will come up with when you ask them, oh, what do you think, how do you think that's going to affect you that you just hit your sister? Like, what do you think might happen because of that? And they're like, I don't know. I don't care. Well, then you can go on to say, I wonder how your sister feels about that. Has anyone ever hit you? Yeah. Well, how did that feel? What kind of thoughts did you have towards that person the next time you saw them? You help them kind of think through the natural, logical consequences. And then you can end the conversation on a positive note. Say, thank you for letting me know what you did wrong. I really appreciate that. And I just know that you're going to make an effort to do better next time. So, what's the long-term impact of nurturing accountability and forgiveness in your children? Parents, we are laying the foundation of our children's future. So, conditioning to admit their wrongs and seek forgiveness can have a profound impact. 5, 10, 15 years down the road, they will have stronger relationships because children who admit their mistakes and ask for forgiveness tend to go on to have healthier relationships as adults. It's going to increase their emotional intelligence because this process of allowing them to acknowledge their wrong, come take personal accountability with us for their behavior, and ask for forgiveness, this helps kids develop empathy by understanding the impact of their actions on other people. And third, it's going to help them develop resilience. Learning from mistakes and moving forward cultivates resilience and adaptability. Parents, nurturing personal accountability and honesty in our children isn't just about avoiding immediate consequences. It's about shaping their character, their relationships, and their future success. By embracing the honesty incentive rule, we can foster an environment where our children feel safe to admit their wrongs, seek forgiveness, and grow into responsible adults. Remember, you're not just raising children, you're raising individuals who will one day contribute positively to our world. So stay committed, stay compassionate, and keep those lines of communication with your kids open. Listen, if you're looking for resources that help you build character in your kids, be sure to visit our shop and grab a copy of our kids' journal, The Best Me I Can Be. This thing is packed full of stories of kids taking personal responsibility. And the thing I love about it is it uses fun, repeatable language that kids can pass on to their siblings and their friends too. Like, it's cool to call yourself out. And if you're wondering if you can trust this material, this journal I'm recommending, like, I get it. There are a lot of resources you actually shouldn't trust out there. Some of them are in your public libraries and bookstores. But trust me when I say that this one is 100% parent and kid tested and approved. So grab your copy today at familiesofcharacter.com to really supplement this podcast episode and get your kid working on calling themselves out. Parents, thank you for tuning into today's episode of the Families of Character Show. Please share this episode with people in your circle. Simply share it in a text message, share it on your social media page, or tell someone about the Families of Character Show next time you see them. Guys, thanks for helping us strengthen families all across the globe. You've got this.